Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi.
Hare Krishna. Here we are again. You, me, the internet and the Bhagavad-gita. My name is Lavangalatika and this is Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are closing up towards the end of the second chapter, which is the introduction. That's how we get started in Bhagavad-gita. So soon we are at the end of the beginning, and then we will of course continue. There are 18 chapters all in all, so we have a lot ahead of us. Today I'm reading text 71. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pungsangs charati nishpriyaha nirmamo nirahankara sashantim adigachati. I think this is one of the core verses also. If you like, you can learn it by heart. It's a good verse. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Purport. To become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as the eternal servitor of Krishna without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in the world is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. One who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor of everything, everything must be used for the satisfaction of Krishna. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction, but when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself there was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the same Arjuna fought to his best ability. Real desirelessness is desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desireless or senseless, but he does have to change the quality of the desires. A materially desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavashyamidang sarvam, and therefore he does not falsely claim proprietorship over anything. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization, namely, knowing perfectly well that every living entity is an eternal part and parcel of Krishna in spiritual identity, and that the eternal position of the living entity is therefore never on the level of Krishna or greater than him. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace. Yes, we are looking for that peace, and that peace is so elusive. When we sit down and we find everything is right, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to go for, then that doesn't last, because on the material platform nothing lasts, everything changes, and we as living entities, yes, Prabhupada says here, the living entity cannot be desireless or senseless. If we artificially try to find a platform free of desires, this is entirely impossible. At every step we make choices, and those choices are based on desires. And if we don't have any desires and we don't do anything, we will just die. And we can't die because we're eternal, so this body will die and we will have another body, and there will always be some kind of impetus, some kind of drive. Or if not a drive to go forward, there will be a drive to preserve what we have or regain what we lost, something like that. It's interesting here, this definition. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desire, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego. The word ego is often used to be, how to say, synonymous to pride or something, that you're full of yourself, you get upset if you don't get the respect you require, or people won't listen to you. But here we're speaking about ahankara, false ego. Because as living entities, we have an ego, we have an identity, we are persons. But when that concept of individuality is applied to this material body, it's a false ego. If we falsely identify as this body, as the enjoyer, as the controller, as something which we are not, then that will create this clash. That is a definition of the spiritual world. There is never a clash. There are many individuals, and they are very different. They have different activities and different relationships, but there is always Krishna in the center. So if Mother Yashoda thinks that she's Krishna's mother, and she takes care of him, and she cooks for him, and she tells him that he has to eat, and he has to take bath, and have clean clothes, and look after himself, somebody else loves Krishna as his friend. They will go out with Krishna when he's herding the cows, and they will play together, and they will have mock fights and tease each other on the level of equal friendship. And those lives look very different, but there will never be a clash, there will never be a fight between Mother Yashoda and Krishna's friends, because they are putting Krishna in the center. They want Krishna to be happy, they want Krishna to enjoy their activities. And therefore, it's like when you are throwing stones in a pond of water, there will be rings. And you throw many stones, these rings will clash. But if you throw the stones at the same place, the same center, they will never clash because they have the same center. So Krishna conscious life is like that. It may be active, we may have different ideas, we may have different activities, but it's very peaceful because it's aligned to with Krishna in the center. And therefore, as long as Krishna is in the center, there won't be any conflicts, and there won't be any illusions, and there won't be any false claiming of identifying with the body or ownership in this world. Actually, we don't own anything, because if you own something, you can keep it. But when we die, we can't keep anything. We can't keep this body, we can't keep our riches, we can't take it with us. It will remain where it is, because it's really not ours. We're using it for a while. And then, when the time comes, it's taken away from us. So we are just borrowing it. Everything we see around us, we're borrowing it. Who's the real owner? Krishna is the real owner. And if we acknowledge that, and if we use this body, this world, everything we see around us in Krishna's service, then that is the opposite of false ego. That is the real ego. And in that real ego, when we can really be ourselves, because we know who we are, that's a place for peace. That's a place for contentment. And that's a place of permanency where we can remain. So that's a description of that person. And we're in the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita. We may not be that person, but we are invited to grow into that person because we have that capacity. That is who we can be if we want to. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang